Hello and welcome to Ride into Glory. My name is Marco and 2020 is finally over. I don't need to tell you why the year sucked. I'm sure you've all experienced it, but at least we had a few good heavy metal releases in the year, and that's what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we're going to run through some of the best traditional heavy metal releases of 2020 as I see them. Before I get into the video, I just want to talk about how I go about even picking these albums. So I listen to a lot of heavy metal, and there are certain things that I specifically look for, and the number one thing I'm really looking for is just something unique, something that's going to stick with me, right? You know, there's not a whole lot of innovation in traditional heavy metal, and you're going to hear a lot of the same things over and over and over again. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest are wonderful bands. They've influenced so many of the younger bands, but just another run-of-the-mill Judas Priest clone isn't going to stick with you, and that's kind of how I think about it and how I go about choosing bands. I'm also looking for really good songwriting, bands that just know how to compose an album from front to back, and that's a pretty big consideration. Also, it's just important to note that this is just a list at the end of the day. You definitely should not take it as gospel. It's just my opinion. I'm just trying to help you guys find something new and interesting, so maybe you can find something that you personally enjoy out of this. And so let's get started. Kicking us off at number 10 is The Tertiary Rites by Acerus. I've always kind of flown a little bit under the radar, but you might recognize the primary songwriter as Daniel Corchado, and he's known for his work with Mexican death metal greats The Chasm. And you know what? That's exactly what Acerus sounds like. You heard it here in the clip. They pretty much sound like The Chasm playing traditional heavy metal, and it's a pretty unique, very meaty sound that you're not going to find a whole lot of bands doing, and this is another great album by them and worth checking out. Coming in at number 9 is Stygian Crown's self-titled debut album. I think they are one of the year's absolute best newcomers, and I think their sound is very, very unique. So they have a very crunchy, heavy riffing style that comes as a result of their extreme metal background. They call their style Candle Thrower, which is referencing Candlemass meets Bolt Thrower, and I think that's a pretty good description of their sound. And so if you like Candlemass, Solitude Eternus, and Capilla Ardente, then this is definitely one of the bands for you. Coming in at number 8 is another fantastic debut, this time from Megaton Sword. So they came out with a fantastic EP in 2019, and this kind of just continues what they were doing there. So their sound is epic heavy metal, and it's kind of inspired by bands like Manila Road and Man of War. Coming in at number 7 are underground heavy metal legends Cirith Ungol. Now these guys have been around since the 70s, and their last album came out in 1991. So this is a huge, huge comeback for Cirith Ungol, and they do not disappoint. Now it doesn't quite live up to the expectations set by legendary albums like King of the Dead, but Forever Black is a fantastic record in its own right. You definitely should check it out. At number 6, we have another comeback record of sorts. Britain writes Occult Fantastique. For them, it's been 10 years since we've heard anything, and it was pretty much safe to assume that the band had broken up. But guitarist and mastermind Howie Bentley kind of shocked us all by releasing this very late in 2020, and it lives up to the hype as much as possible. This is a great album if you're looking to scratch that Black Sabbath or Witchfinder General itch. It's just really, really good doom through and through. Starting our top 5 is Canada's Possessed Steel. They've been a band since about 2010, and it's taken them a little while to get here with their debut album Majors, but the wait was well worth it. There's a lot of really interesting riffs, vocals, acoustics, and just in general the songwriting is fantastic front to back. At number 4, we have England's Witch Hazel, and they have established themselves in recent years as one of traditional metal's most consistently excellent bands. It's not easy to do what they've been doing, but it feels like every couple of years they have one excellent album after another, and that's the case here with their third album, Pentecost. It's a beautiful and triumphant album that builds upon what they've already been doing, and it's kind of like a little bit of that 70s rock flair to it. So if you enjoy that type of sound, they're definitely a band for you. A bit of an unconventional pick for number 3 with the Wizard. These guys are a bit of a love it or hate it kind of thing, but it's safe to say that I very much love it. And they're a bit of this mystical, strange sounding traditional metal meets doom metal kind of sound that's very similar to Cult Legend's Pagan Altar, and that's where the draw is to me for this band. A very, very unique, interesting sound. Coming in at number 2 is Dealers of Divinity by White Magician, and I cannot heap enough praise onto this album. The songwriting is fantastic, the lead work absolutely breathtaking. If you like Blue Oyster Cult, this is a must-listen album. These guys take that Blue Oyster Cult synthy sound and they combine it with a little bit of a darker take on traditional heavy metal, and it's just a fantastic album. coming in at number 1 are Eternal Champion. Without a doubt, their sophomore album, Ravening Iron, was the single most anticipated traditional metal release of the year. That is only expected given how tremendous the reception was for Armor of Fire. It's definitely no easy feat following up on something like that. I personally consider Armor of Fire one of the best epic heavy metal albums of modern times, but, Eternal Champion have done really well for themselves with the second one. It's not a rehash of Armor of Fire, but instead it kind of explores a little bit of a different take on things, right? So they have different song structures, styles, etc., and they lean more into their thrash and doom metal influences, so you get a bit of a harder hitting album. I think Eternal Champion are one of the best bands in the game right now, and this is just another reason why. So there you have it. Those are Ride into Glory's top traditional metal albums of 2020. It's really difficult to fit everything into one reasonably timed video, so if you want to read more and find even more albums as well as some of the best EPs in our opinion, then you can go check down in the description below, and there you'll find a link to the full article. As always, thank you for watching, and a big special thank you to the patrons that help support Ride into Glory and make it possible for me to make these videos and write these articles. So once again, thank you.